Straight from March Madness and into the Masters. This is episode 196 of The Next Best Bet. I'm Jake Higgins with Brett Levy as always. And Brett, if it wasn't for futures bets, last episode I would have been perfect, but we didn't record until the conclusion of March Madness. That means my Nova future did not cash. My Duke future didn't cash. So even though I had two of the final four options, I still walked away from the weekend empty-handed. But I did get 3 wins from last episode, including my pick of the pod, so I'm feeling good.
Yeah, you did pretty well, Higgins. You gotta be impressed. You had 2 teams going in the final 4. I'm sure you did some hedging out there, so you didn't truly end up in the negatives. And Higgins, I went 50% last episode, so I can't be too upset either, and it's good to be back. We had to take a little break there. We're very busy people, Higgins. People just keep blowing up our phones. They need us.
VIPs, that is right. But it is the Masters, and we have to talk about it. In fact, we're so anxious to talk about it. We're recording on Tuesday night. That way, there's all of Wednesday for you to listen to this. Thursday morning, if you get up early before the Masters starts. And our Beginners Boulevard is a term that you can hear about sometimes when you talk about golf tournaments, and that's the field, a type of futures wager where the bettor chooses the rest of the competition to win the event compared to a specific group or number or specific names. You'll see this with golf, like the field against Tiger, for example, was a favorite version of the field for a very long time, but you also see it in sports where it was the field against the Patriots for a very long time.
Yeah, sometimes, Higgins, you see this done in different ways too. Like, they're betting without markets, so you're picking from a specified field per se. So, yeah, lots of ways that the field comes into play, but now our listeners know what people are talking about. When people mention, hey, I took the field, or hey, I took something in this market, or that, maybe a group market, Higgins. Lots of different ways to bet the golf, and it's going to be a fun weekend down in Augusta. And as of Tuesday, Higgins, the Tiger news was heating up. We got a lot of excitement going there.
Absolutely, and we're going to be jumping right into that in a second. Recapping March Madness, Brett, you finished in second behind Bruce. He was the only one who had Kansas in our bracket pool to finish. But Brett, surprisingly, you had Kentucky to win it all. They lost in the first round. Your bracket was so good that you ended up finishing in second overall, though. Meanwhile, I had Nova to win it all, was a Final Four contender, and I finished behind basically all of my family still.
Yeah, well, that's brutal, Higgins, and that's absolutely hilarious that I came in second with Kentucky.
You basically rode the St. Peter's train like everyone else, thinking that Kentucky was going to go on a run, except it was St. Peter's.
I knew it was the winner of that game was going to have a good run. I knew it.
You said you spent a lot of time on it.
Yeah, tons of time.
We also had a ton of NFL news. I told you last episode I didn't think that it was going to slow down at all this offseason before the draft, and surely enough, Matt Ryan to the Colts, Tyreek Hill to the Dolphins, Devontae Parker to the Patriots, Eagles and Saints swapping a boatload of picks. Brett, this doesn't seem like it's slowing down at all. This offseason is for the record books in terms of transactions.
Yeah, it's been very exciting, and it's good for people like us, Higgins, who need things to talk about during the NFL offseason, because football's king, Higgins. People want the football news. People, believe it or not, Higgins, there are people out there doing like fantasy best ball drafts for the NFL season, trying to get ahead of people. They think they have an edge or something. Like, I think this guy's going to get drafted to this team, get this role. Maybe I can, snatch him a little higher or something. So people are excited for football, Higgins. The win totals just came out on some of these apps. So, sports books know too.
Soon.
Yeah, the sports books know people want football too.
I think this Tyreek Hill trade was the biggest one since our last episode, and really, it puts Tua on the hottest seat of any quarterback starting spot, in my opinion. I mean, there's a lot of teams that are still searching for that starting quarterback. Miami's basically saying, okay, Tua, here's all the weapons you need. We're signing all these players. We're trading for Tyreek Hill. We're investing in you now. They reinvested in their defense. Tua's on the hot seat.
Yeah, I think that's a very fair take, Higgins. And look, there's a reason they brought in Teddy Bridgewater. He can certainly start games if needed.
Absolutely. Now, let's move into our picks, though. It is the Masters. It's once a year. We get to go down to Augusta, and it wouldn't feel like the Masters without Tiger, at least. And we were starting to find out, we were starting to see on Twitter people tracking Tiger's private jet. And what do you know? We got recent news that as of now, he's planning to play and tee off on Thursday and compete in this. And importantly enough, Brett, I also heard in the press conference someone asked an important follow-up. Does he think he can win? Because Tiger has always had the mantra that he's not going to compete in a tournament if he doesn't think he can win it. He said he thinks he can win it. That's a bold statement, but it's a big unknown. He's at plus 5,000 on BetMGM. There's a lot of vary in the markets from what I've seen for where he is. I'm not going to put any money on him to necessarily win, but I think he's going to make the cut. And at minus 115 at BetMGM, I'm going to throw 2 units on it.
I would love for Tiger to make the cut, Higgins. I do not think he's going to make the cut. I think Tiger misses the cut, unfortunately. I would put your money on that and, be pleasantly surprised when he makes the cut, Higgins. I will be rooting against this bet all weekend. I want to see Tiger in red on Sunday in Augusta, but this is not a minor injury. This is not a young 20-year-old kid either. So this is tough, and we're all excited to see Tiger back. But this is a tough golf course, Higgins. It's a very elite field. Now, most of the field makes the cut, so that plays to Tiger's advantage. It's like a very favorable cut line. But but outside of that, Higgins, this is a brutal injury. And, we thought he might need a cart to play this weekend. So, he's going to be out there walking. I do not like his chances, unfortunately.
Well, I will say the BetMGM bet that I'm taking, it does say if he chooses not to participate before Thursday, I do get that money back still. So that's at least a little bit safe. I'll also just note Tiger's history at the Masters, Brett. When he has chosen to play, he has made the cut every single time except for in 1996.
Missed it once.
He missed it once. The second year he ever played in the Masters, and he hasn't done it since. So I think it comes down to how he looks on that first day. We'll get a big read on that there. I see a top 20 end of first round at plus 250. That's a little too low of value for my blood, but I think it does come down to day one and how well he can play out the gate, because he is going to get tired. It is going to be a long day, especially if he can play all 72 holes.
Yeah, well, I hope I'm wrong, Higgins, but if I'm putting my money anywhere, Tiger probably has an early flight home.
Okay. Well, Brett, do you have any other suspicions about the cut?
I do actually, Higgins. There is a South African I like very much, Garrett Higo, and he's played not too shabby at Augusta, was pretty competitive last year. So he's boosted right now, Higgins, to make the cut to plus 130. I don't know what his original odds are, but this is at Caesars Sportsbook. So I'm hopping on that train because I just need him to be competitive for about a day and a half here, Higgins, and he'll make that cut.
I think he's a young guy. He'll come out motivated and he'll play strong potentially the first day.
Lefty too. So we've seen Phil win as a lefty. We've seen Bubba Watson win as a lefty. Mike Weir has won as a lefty. Higgins.
Mike Weir, coincidentally, the fifth lowest in terms of future odds to win at plus 150,000.
Well, he's done it once. The lefty. Once. So we'll see what happens.
Absolutely, Garrick Higo, the South African. I think that's a nice bet. 22 years old, though. We'll see if he comes out strong and with the confidence, or if the lights of Augusta get to him. In terms of the champion, Brett, I have two bets, but they're not going to be a specific person to outright win it. One of them is I'm taking the field at plus 100 versus the USA. Now, the USA has had some recent champions, like Tiger in 2019, like Dustin in 2021. The most recent champion, however, is from the rest of the field, Hideki Matsuyama, who's from Japan. And there's a ton of other talented competitors outside of America that are even in terms of future values within that top 10. So I don't think that is outside the realm that a foreigner wins the Masters. And I think the plus 100 is where the value is here, absolutely.
Yeah, fair enough, Higgins. I will be, I guess, outside of Higo, rooting for an American. I'd like Spieth to get it done, I think. That'd be a fun storyline. He's obviously won at Augusta, but then had some horrible moments at Augusta as well. So maybe exercise some demons. That would be a good story.
There was one guy I'll say to potentially stay away from. I almost put a bet down on him. Bryson DeChambeau. He's competing against his doctor's recommendations, has something going on with his hip, has a fracture in his hand. I think it's a hairline fracture, but that's not any better necessarily. This is a guy that gets a lot of attention. I don't know if he's going to come out and play well. It sounds like he's going to be playing through a lot of pain.
Yeah, I don't know much about that, but good thing bringing it to my attention so I can fade DeChambeau here.
Yeah. My last Masters bet as well is I think Sunday's going to be close. So the winner to be in the final group, I'm going to say no. Plus 190. I think it's going to be close. I think someone's going to post a big score early in the day, and someone's going to have to be playing into a lead on 18. Do we see a playoff? I don't know. I want to see a close 72 holes. I want to see a stacked leaderboard.
Yeah, sounds good to me, Higgins.
All right. Well, Brett, we have some other bets as well besides the Masters, which starts on Thursday. As for Wednesday, NBA, there's a lot going on Tuesday night as we're recording. I didn't see any lines that I really liked at the few games that we had out. There was one NHL line that I liked for Wednesday, though. The Seattle Kraken and the St. Louis Blues. Now, typically, Brett, the Kraken, I automatically go on the over with them. But as the season has started to fade, they haven't been hitting that over nearly as much, so I'm going to back off of it now. However, the Blues have stayed consistent. They are a playoff team, and they are the second best in the NHL against the spread, 42-27, and that's 22-13 at home. So minus 1.5 at plus 100. I'm going to grab that on Tuesday night while I still have it, in one of the only 5 NHL games there are on Wednesday.
Yeah, fair enough, Higgins. I'd be lying if I said I've watched any hockey over the last, 3 weeks here. I'll go 3 weeks. Tonight. I'll go 3 weeks. It has been a good little bit for me between March Madness, the NBA, and honestly, Higgins, a lot of Big Bang Theory instead of the NHL. So I don't want to lie to anyone and give any insight on this game, but I think taking Seattle against the St. Louis against a struggling Seattle team is a pretty good idea.
Yeah, and Brett, I won't ask for any spoilers from Big Bang Theory then either, but let's move into what's about to happen. The MLB season is about to start on Thursday. This is something that not too long ago we were wondering when it was going to even begin. The lockout seems not too far in the distant past. However, Thursday, players take to the field. Friday, we will have full competition from everybody. And I've started to look at some futures, but Brett, frankly, I've had some fantasy that I've been taking care of this past weekend in terms of drafts, in terms of picking up players off the waiver wires as things settle in and 40-day rosters are made. So I haven't placed any futures bets. I'm going to let you take the wheel here. What are your futures that you like in the baseball season coming up?
Well, Higgins, I think the NL Central is very weak this year, with both the Reds and Pirates just deciding, the 2022 season, not that important to us. So I think the Cubs, over 73.5 wins, is within the realm of possibility. They bring over Suzuki from Japan to play in their outfield, bring over Stroman to help with their pitching staff. Higgins, he's not an ace, but he certainly brings it up in quality, no doubt about that. Andrelton Simmons comes over from the Twins to play shortstop, so they can move Nico Horner back to second base, most likely, Higgins. So I think the Cubs, not a great baseball team, but 73.5 wins. I think this team is going to be a little bit closer to 500 here, especially playing in a weaker division. The Brewers are probably the consensus favorite in the Central right now, Higgins. And I've got a lot of questions about their lineup. Obviously, Burns, Woodruff, as good as it gets as a 1-2 in Major League Baseball. So, no questions about Milwaukee's rotation, but definitely some holes in the lineup. St. Louis, solid lineup. Some questions about their rotation. Questions about Jack Flaherty. Can he get back to what he was earlier in his career before some injuries? So there's question marks all over this division, Higgins. So I think the Cubs can get over that 73.5.
I don't mind that pick at all. I will say my favorite out of the NL Central is going to be the Cardinals, though, because they have a ton of good karma coming into the season with Albert Pujols coming back for one final season with them. The NL side finally picking up the DH makes that really feasible of a move for them. And also, who knows? Maybe he has one of those final moments as a player in a Cardinals uniform. He puts up those numbers that people remember him for. He's not too far away from 700 total home runs. It's in the scope.
Yeah, 21 he would need. 21 home runs this year, so we will be rooting for that. Higgins, I also like the Padres to go under 89.5 wins. We already know Tatis will be missing some time here, Higgins. The Padres as an organization right now have a lot of talent, but it doesn't necessarily all fit together. Just question marks up and down the lineup. They did add Sean Manaea to their rotation, so that is a good addition. But Chris Paddock, it's been a few years since he's been good. We'll see if they bring up Mackenzie Gore at all, Higgins. That'll be an interesting prospect to watch for the Padres. So we've been waiting on these arms. Joe Musgrove had a really good start to the year last year. Not as good of a finish.
Clevenger.
Yeah, they get Clevenger back coming off Tommy John. Yep, so it'll be interesting to see what the Padres look like. But 89.5 wins, having to face the Dodgers as much as they do, you're going to lose some games up in Coors Field. Just, you're going to give up some runs. It's just how it works up there. And then the Giants were really good last year, Higgins. So maybe some disrespect being thrown to the Giants. But I don't expect the Padres to win 90 games this year.
The NL West is still going to be tough. I mean, the Dodgers will give them a tough game every single time. Giants, did they overperform last year, or are they on the up and up? I think they might be on the up and up. We'll see this year where that goes. That'll be a very interesting one. The Padres also, depending on what book you're looking at, Their total wins, they're sitting right around your Mets, Brett.
Yeah, well, I would probably go under on the Mets too. But
88, 89, that's a lot. That's a lot.
yeah,
You got to believe in a team to be a playoff team for that amount of wins.
for sure. My last future, Higgins, there was a trade made not too long ago between the Rockies and the Blue Jays. Randall Grichuk was traded from the Blue Jays to the Rockies for Ramil Tapia. I think this is a great spot for Randall Grichuk, who's basically a corner outfielder and power bat. And look, he's going to have the chance to hopefully play every day. I hope they put him out in one of the corner outfield spots, Higgins, and or DH, either way, and just let him mash out in Coors Field. So at plus 8,500, Higgins, I'm taking him to lead the majors in home runs.
That's not a bad bet with that type of value. I mean, I can't be mad at that. You know I'd love to see that plus sign. And when I see 2 zeros on the other end of it, it's always good.
Yeah, it was a good number. I shopped around for this 8,500. A lot of 8,000s out there, so I feel like I got a decent deal here.
Hey, with futures, I think you got a line chop, especially if you have the book availability to do so in your state.
Yeah, no, it was big. I was shopping all over. Got an extra game for the Cubs by doing it at a FanDuel, and then I think I got an extra game for the Padres. It was 88.5 somewhere. I got it at 89.5. Maybe that one was on Barstool. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I'm placing these all over, Higgins.
And when you're getting 85 instead of 8,000, if that does hit, that's an extra 5 units. That's a great boost to a bankroll, a great boost to your overall units pulling at the end of the year. But Brett, let's talk about Thursday. Let's talk about some of those opening day lines. I myself made a parlay with three of the favorites going in, and all of them are home team favorites. They're the Cardinals at home against the Pirates. The Pirates, they shouldn't have sent O'Neal Cruz down, but they're playing the game that they're due for service time. They sent him down to AAA. They're probably going to call him up in a month, and it's just a game that was tried to be collective bargained out, to be honest, but we'll see how the Pirates perform in the first month because of that, because O'Neal Cruz is going to be that team star bat. The second team behind the Cardinals is going to be the Braves. Braves opening at home against the Reds. You talk about an NL Central that's going to struggle. A Reds team coming off and facing off against the World Series champs to start this season. I think Atlanta gets a win at home, and they're the favorites to do so. And then the final one, besides the Cardinals and the Braves, is the Padres. They actually, I'm mistaken, I was a little too eager. They are an away team, but they're in Arizona. It's not that far away, and Arizona's the bottom of a competitive NL West. So I expect the Padres, despite the injuries, despite some of those question marks that we talked about a little bit earlier, they're going to come out with and get a win. They're minus 160, depending on what book you're looking at. So they're also the favorite in that game, even on the road. And Yu Darvish is expected to start on Thursday against Madison Bumgarner, who, to me, is no longer nearly as intimidating because he doesn't have the bat to support him.
Fair enough, Higgins. That is a take, let me tell you. But yeah, backing three favorites on opening day, you would think with their ace on the mound, you got to feel good about those teams. Well, I'm going to play devil's advocate, Higgins, because not all the favorites win on opening day, and I've got a home dog in a ballpark that is going to be rooting for the home team, and that is the Chicago Cubs, plus 138 on the money line. Obviously, Milwaukee starting maybe the best pitcher in baseball, Corbin Burns, but Corbin Burns did not go undefeated, Higgins, last year. He did start off undefeated and went very deep, but he lost some games. And look, I think the wind could be blowing out in Wrigley. We don't know this yet. We're taking chances. So Look, if the wind's blowing in, it obviously helps both these pitchers. If the wind's blowing out, could help the team that plays there a little more frequently, Higgins. So we'll see what happens. I just know it's going to be a lot of excitement in Wrigley on Thursday afternoon, and they don't want to send these fans home sad on opening day, Higgins.
Absolutely not. And you mentioned him earlier, Seiya Suzuki, a potential Rookie of the Year candidate. I drafted him in one of my fantasy leagues. I hope the wind is blowing out so he can give that hometown flair to start off, maybe get a home run in opening day, and start off right under Cubs uniform.
I'd be more impressed if the wind's blowing in and he still goes yard. That's
true.
That's what you want to see, Higgins.
That would be very impressive, absolutely. And Brett, I mean, a hometown team like the Chicago Cubs at Wrigley, being a dog on opening day, I consider that much different than the Diamondbacks as a home dog in the scenario I have in my parlay. I mean, the Braves and Cardinals, they're both minus 200 home favorites. The Padres, they're about minus 160, minus 155, depending on where you look at it, as an away favorite. So I like that in the West, but I agree with your pick here with the Cubs. I'm not going to take it, though. I'm liking that parlay I put together for 270.
Fair enough, Higgins. Well, you won your your pick of the pod. I lost my Levy lock. So you get the honors here. Tee us off and get us going here.
Well, and it's fitting because you say tee us off. My pick of the pod is a golf pick. Tiger's gonna make the cut. It's gonna be the storyline that just happens. I'm so confident I'm doing the 2 units thing I was doing back in December again, throwing 2 units on this play. Tiger makes the cut minus 115. Don't overthink it.
Well, I cannot say that's a good pick as I am directly on the other side.
Very true.
But I'll pick a guy to make the cut too because I want to be positive here. And I'm going with my guy Garrett Higo. So Higo to make the cut. I got that boosted at plus 130 Higgins on Caesars.
Okay. I'm very excited for the Masters coming up. Par 3 tournament on Wednesday. Teeing off on Thursday. I'm going to be making sure I tune in, especially on Saturday and Sunday for the weekend. But like I said, I think on Sunday it's going to be very close, and we might see an early number that gets very high and is very competitive with some later scores.
Yeah, well, I know you're rooting for a very close Sunday because you've got a bet on it, but we shall see. I'm looking forward to some good golf. Obviously, the Masters, it's finally starting to feel like spring, Higgins.
That is right. Make sure to follow us on social media at NBB Pod on Twitter, at Next Best Bet on Instagram, and the Next Best Bet Facebook page and YouTube channel. Like Brett said, it's finally starting to feel like spring. This has been episode 196 of the Next Best Bet. For Brett, I'm Jake. We'll talk to you guys again soon.